very, very slightly. Be up a tiny bit. Down a little more. Just a bit more. See that everything is going all right. So, ladies, gentlemen, welcome to Age of Empires. Definitive Edition. We shall be today playing through the official campaigns, starting with the tutorial, because we may as well. Take your first step in Age of Empires by experiencing the story of the world's longest continuous civilization. As the guiding spirit of Egypt sailed along the fertile Nile River, wage war, and unite the kingdoms of Upper and Lower Egypt with Narmer, build the great monuments of Hatshepsut, and venture into foreign lands, conquered the Numidians and Canaanites. Experienced Age of Empires players may start with Scenario 9, the River Outpost. For argument's sake,
Egypt is a land blessed with plentiful plants and wildlife, making it an excellent place to settle your wandering tribe of hunters and gatherers. Even though your people have primitive technology and rely on stone tools, they are skilled hunters. Establish a small village on this Nile Delta island and grow your tribe to 7 people.
we have a mess of instructions, but I might as well explain on my own. But first, I am a history VTuber. Therefore, since the dawn of our species, humans relied on hunting and foraging for survival. They lived and hunted in small groups, moving along the migratory tracks of large animals. Meat was complemented with berries, roots, or other. I need to take a drink. Should have had more water prepared. Meat was complemented with berries, roots, and other edible plants for a diverse diet. Egypt was one of the first regions to be inhabited by humans due to its mild climate and proximity to Eastern Africa, where the first human ancestors evolved. At the end of the last ice age, the Sahara Desert was very different from its modern state. It's consisted mostly of savanna grasslands where many species of large animals graze, making Sahara ideal for the hunter-gatherers to thrive. Cave paintings and stone tool production sites have been found from this early period as cultures like the Badarians and the Nakada spread throughout Egypt. Stone circles similar to Stonehenge were built in a place called Napta Playa to the west of the Nile River, near a great and now extinct lake.
Egypt is a land blessed with
And how to build houses and whatnot. So first things first, going to explore. You select units with the left click. You can zoom in with the mouse wheel. You can do that in the old game, I will tell you that. And to hunt deer, you select a bunch of villagers and right click on a deer. They'll start gathering food. In the upper left corner, we have wood, food, gold, stone, and population. Which population they didn't also show back in the old days. I could now position myself better. I've just realized you could still see the minimap. You'll slowly gather food in amounts of 10 back to the town center. Clicking on town center, you can left click to train a villager. You can also queue up multiple villagers at once. This also was not available back in the old days. Back in my time, you had to do it one at a time. You had to keep on top of such matters. But still back then, Town Center only provides housing for 4 villagers. We have just built our 4th. So with our 4th villager, we shall build a house. Click on building, see progress slowly tick up, and once the population number has increased from 4 to 8, another villager is immediately continued its production. You can also select idle villagers by clicking this button. Shall explore with this villager for a brief while. See the water and the trees. I call our objection is just 7 population, which we already have enough food for, but and really that is the extent of this tutorial. Food collection and unit production. Start building that one. And that's it. Simple, right?
The hunt is a success and your tribe grows. You and your people will raise many sons and daughters in this land.
You can also fail this, and the game will be like, how did you fail this? What? How?
For generations, the rich hunting lands along the Nile have provided for your people. Now a series of droughts have withered the size of the herds and forced your kin to forage for new food sources. Fortunately, the banks of the Nile teem with fruits and edible plants. Hunting bands have returned from the east with berries, dates, and leeks. Find these forage sites and collect food for your growing tribe. Once you have enough food, settle in this rich area by constructing a granary, storage pit, and dock.
Objectives were granary, storage pit, dock. Prehistoric humans were opportunistic and found food based on their environment. On grasslands, hunting was the major source of food, while coastal environments favored the gathering of shellfish and the eggs of seabirds. A river valley or delta, such as the Nile, is a very fruitful location due to its abundance and variety of plant and animal life available throughout the year. Some of the nomads who arrived in such rich riverlands found that they could subsist permanently in the area and settle the first villages. The first of these settlers on the Nile were likely drawn to the river by the increasing spread of the Sahara Desert. Although North Africa is mostly desert today, Sahara was once covered in grass and low shrubs. The transition to an arid climate was not gradual, but occurred in 2 specific episodes. The first being 6,700 and 5,500 years ago was less intense, but later climate change lasting from 4,000 to 3,600 years ago was severe. Summer temperatures increased sharply, rainfall decreased, and the grasslands withered. This event devastated many ancient cultures and their way of life. Tribes are forced to migrate to the Nile, where the river's annual flood deposited fertile silt along the allowing plants to grow on the Nile's banks. These migrants contributed to the emerging small communities along the river. An objective: build docks and stuff. Start by exploring. Here we have berry bushes. We can also forage for food here. Down below us we have wood, which we also can gather, as we slightly experimented in the last tutorial. Let us build dock first. You can also right click and assign villagers from the town center directly to the dock to aid in its construction. Left click. No, we can't. No, actually, let's not do that yet. Some wood. So you can explore around a bit. Not much to see. Oh, there's berry bushes even down here. Obviously this is the tutorial, so there's no enemies right now, but we shall eventually meet them. Let's build another house. Be building a granary over here. Now, granaries are one of the 2 food drop-off points. This is a strange thing about Age of Empires 1, that there are multiple food drop-off buildings. There's the town center, which is all resources. There's the granary, which only can be dropped off food resources for berry bushes and for farms, which we'll get into in a later tutorial, no doubt. And there's the storage pit, which is for hunted animals like the deer we had last mission. The storage pit has additional usages. We won't see all of those usages in this tutorial, but one of them is the ability to drop off wood, gold, and stone to them, as well as the hunted food. That said, generally speaking, storage pits are a little bit more useful than granaries in this game. And you'll have to build many of them in order to be successful in things like multiplayer
Though
and such.
the desert sands have encroached on the grasslands, the banks of the Nile still provide for your people. Your tribe no longer wanders after the herds, but has begun to build a home here on the river.
Timeline is nothing. As well as a statistic for percent explored, but maybe they got rid of that. Oh, no, here it is, under economy.
As your hunters venture out, they begin to encounter other cultures to the west, along the Mediterranean coast. You have sent parties of explorers to search the borderlands to learn about these people whom you call Libyans. According to legends, there are sacred sites nearby. These can be recognized by the shape of a white horse etched into the ground. Find the 5 discoveries before the encroaching Libyans do.
Okay. It's teaching us about grouping units. In this game, ha. Human populations around the world expanded following the end of the last ice age and gradually settled in the locations where food was plentiful. Once the better spots were taken, competition began over who would hold these locations. A good site might mean the difference between survival or death during a drought. Geographic features took on special meanings to those groups settled permanently in an area. Waterfalls or increasingly shaped rock faces, for example, might have special properties associated with them. Ownership of these features was a source of pride for the group. Loss of control to neighbors might have been a blow to the unity or strength of the group. Prehistoric peoples had an affinity for the natural world that is not found in sedimentary cultures. Awareness of what was going on around them was critical for survival of a family group or tribe. Prehistoric peoples knew the territory around them well and could orient themselves using geographic landmarks. Exploring and making new discoveries may have been pleasurable, but it was also a necessity. Don't forget, keep exploring the map. No.
As your hunter...
Oh. I remember this mission being a little bit weird, shall we say. It's teaching you to explore, which I have been instinctively doing this entire playthrough, if you will. This is worth it. Gator's gonna deal with them. Thank you, Gator, I guess. I should probably just beeline into everything. See if there's no one directly nearby. Well, it's two, I guess. Bit worse for wear, all things considered. Quite the interesting conundrum we've got, don't we? It's a little bit better right now. I believe there's two more eastward and maybe a couple more south. This berry's right there. What am I doing? Let's see if there's one right over here. I doubt it. No, no, I don't have to worry about the Libyans anymore. Don't take that out of context. Another? Survived it all the same. Food. Yeah, it's probably gonna be down here, isn't it? Yep. Right next to the line.
Your band of explorers has discovered the sacred sites and pushed back the invaders from the west. You do not believe this is the last you will see of these Libyans, however.
77%.
Exploration and contact with other cultures have brought new ideas to Egypt. Your people are learning new skills, including technologies for fishing and more complex stone tools. Advance your culture to the tool age to gain access to these skills and new capabilities.
Let's build a town center, construct 2 different Stone Age buildings. Alright, let me take a drink. The increase in human population and the competition for good food sites accelerated the advance in technology and has fostered by the challenging environments of the last ice age. Better and more varied tools increase the efficiency of hunters and gatherers, increasing the advantages of humans over the other varieties of life. Anthropologists mark the technological advance of our human ancestors by dividing their progress into the eras defined by the artifacts that have survived over the years. Most of these artifacts are tools, and the oldest of these are made of stone. Later, tools slowly started being made of various metals such as copper and bronze. The most common used name for these eras are the Old Stone Age, Paleolithic, New Stone Age, Neolithic, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. In Age of Empires, we advance from the Stone Age to Tool Age, the Bronze Age to the Iron Age. Each advance requires some prerequisites, and entering a new age makes it possible to research new technologies and build new buildings and units. Tool Age represents innovation from the large, bulky choppers and hand axes first used as tools. The new stone tools were blades struck from a core stone. These small blades, called microliths, were fitted with handles as knives and onto shafts as arrows and spear points. These tools were much more efficient than their predecessors, made daily tasks much easier. That's a mouthful. Start fishing. Start exploring. Storage pit. Right away. Why not? What's that? Immediately start chopping down wood right against it. Now let's do resource gathering. Actually, seeing that I have a slight break because this is pretty much just advance to the next age, which you can do by clicking on this button right here once you have those two prerequisite buildings and the 500 food. So I was dusting off my skills in this game, because I'll know eventually when we get to later campaigns, might get a little bit roadblocked along the way, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. One of the things I noticed was to dust off my skills, I had to play a standard random map game, and it was quite the interesting experience. So it started out normally. What I thought I did was I thought I chose the Greeks. The Greeks is the next campaign and the real actual beginning of a challenging campaigns. I know it's the first real campaign. Bear with me. It's more just an argument of not that it's not that it's impressively hard in difficulty, it's more some of the layer missions can be quite interestingly designed, shall we put it. Besides that, I thought I chose the Greeks. I instead chose the Persians. And the funny thing is, how did I figure out I had chosen the Persians outside of looking it up? Well, you see, the Persians lack heavy infantry, which means they lack a building that we'll discover later called the Academy, and thus they can't build what the Greeks are known for, which in this game are phalanx units. Thank you, brain, for such a reminder. Put you on that food source, why not? So, I was playing on, I want to say, the standard difficulty of this game. And I am unfortunately ashamed to admit that I had trouble with this version of Age of Empires standard difficulty. And nearly lost. So, in desperation, I had to build a wonder to win. So I had to... So imagine, basically, an island game with several... How should I put this? Like, each player had its own island. I was against 3 AIs, basically. And I was handily dealing with one of them, and then the other 2 showed up, and I'm like, oh dear. This is not good news. I still haven't gotten my heavy infantry out. How do I build the academy? Do I need the... Let me show you. What you need is a stable, and then you can build the academy. But it's like, I have the stable. Shouldn't I not be able to build the academy right now? No. There was no academy to be built. All I had was a bunch of towers surrounding my base. And in desperation, I took about 20 villagers and sent them on to wonder construction, whilst pumping out as many cavalry as I could to fend off a landing party of about 12 units. Which I know, 12 units, so that's not a lot. But when the pop cap is 50, that is a lot. But I did manage to win that game, barely. kind of quite concerned to do so, even. Build a few more fishing boats, set them on this whale. Improve gather rate efficiency. Speed up this mission more than we can. And I'll send you exploring, why not? I have nothing better to do. And you know, don't forget, keep exploring the map. And for anyone wondering why I say these words, it's because the game tells you in its sequel, Age of Empires 2, The Age of the Kings. Peninsula and a half. And now we can leave. And slowly age up to tool age. There's an elephant. It's worth a lot of food. There's a lion. In one of the games it was worth no food, I believe. Or maybe it was worth 100 back in the day. I think they changed that for... I know wolves are worthless in 2, technically. You know what? We're sending you exploring the sea to find the vast nothing. Island you can't reach with a lion on it. More exploration. No. Out of range. Yeah. Build a house. See if you can finish before the end of the game. I doubt it.
Your people have mastered the techniques of making improved stone tools and have entered a new age of development, which will be called the Neolithic period. With these new technologies, your people thrive and gain an advantage on the other groups around them.
Skirmish.
New technologies have allowed your tribe to grow, but have also brought conflict. The spread of the Sahara's sands has forced neighboring tribes to migrate into your lands to seize control of your foraging sites and defensive positions. Raiding parties from Upper Egypt have come down the river. Intercept and destroy these invaders before they infiltrate your villages and steal your food supplies.
Archaeological evidence suggests that warfare has been part of human life for much longer than we would like to admit. Yep. Previous theories assumed that early nomads were more peaceful than their sedentary counterparts in later years, but mass burial sites found across the world has made scientists review that theory. A mass burial in Jebel Sahabra, south of Egypt, for example, contains remains of 61 adults and children. Some of these skeletons show evidence of hard blows or arrow points embedded in bones. This site has been dated back about 13,000 years ago. The implication of evidence such as this is that the prehistoric life was a struggle against other humans, not just nature or the elements. People who possessed good hunting and forage lands had to defend them with force or risk annihilation.
New technologies have allowed your tribe to grow, but have also brought
Destroy the
conflicts.
invading tribe. Destroy the Egyptian raiders. Feels as though we are the Egyptian raiders right now. So, we have Axemen and we have Bowmen. And finally, combat. So Bowman, as one would suspect, is a ranged unit. That's what there's combat. 2 missions ago, excuse me. And Axemen are melee units. Once we engage the enemy, we shall demonstrate the difference between the two. You've seen units attack one another in melee range between villagers and horsemen and clubmen. Okay. For example, we can fire upon this enemy axeman with no fear of damage with our bowmen. There's, of course, a small bit of land for them to... We freely took him out without any interference. Let me just check one thing. Yep, that is doing well. There are some minutiae details about combat that we will go into later, but as is just the basic combat tutorial, I think it takes us ages to find them. Now they have archers. I've been slightly injured by them. We have killed 2 of their units, and they probably only have a small band up here. Probably one more down, a few over. Only one fallen soldier?
Your people have repelled the raiders and are safe for now. Your successes and the threats of powerful neighbors have encouraged smaller nearby tribes to join you for safety. They offer food and their wealth in exchange for your protection. You have begun to lay the first foundations for a new concept called kingship. future of Egypt is about to change. The great pharaoh Narmer seeks to unite the upper and lower kingdoms into a unified Egypt. Using the wealth brought from farming along the Nile's banks, he will finally be able to defeat his rivals. Take control of the villages along the river and build a surplus of 800 food to feed your people and Narmer's warriors. In addition, take control of the ancient stone circle of Nabta Playa, found in the desert to the west. Controlling this ancient ruin will demonstrate Narmer's power to his opponents. Be wary of nearby peoples, however. You need not destroy them, but know that they will attempt to undermine Narmer's goal of uniting Egypt.
Sorry about that. Slight interruption. Every year, heavy monsoon rains in the mountains of Ethiopia would cause the Nile to flood its banks downstream in Egypt. This period of flooding, from June to September, was called Akat. While waiting for the waters to recede and reveal the fertile mud and fresh slit left behind, Egyptian farmers spent their time mending and making tools and looking after their animals. As Egypt became a kingdom, the farmers would use some of the time to work for the king, called the pharaoh, to build tombs and temples. When the water receded, the Egyptians would plow the soil during a season called Peret. From October to February, Egyptians plowed by hand or using animal-pulled plows. Seeds were sown, and goats and other animals walked over the fields to push the seeds into the ground and provide additional fertilizer. Egyptians grew a variety of crops including wheat, barley, flax, onions, leeks, garlic, beans, lettuce, lentils, cabbage, radishes, turnips, grapes, figs, plums, and melons. Harvest time was a period called Shemu. From March to May, grain was cut with sickles, tied into bundles, and carried away to granaries. Skilled artisans in a town turned wheat into bread, the barley into beer, and the flax into linen cloth. Papyrus reeds were gathered to make sandals, boats, baskets, mats, and paper. Agriculture allowed professions to develop and fostered new cultural tools and artifacts. Although the first sign of agriculture dates from 8000 BCE, the first farming communities did not appear in Egypt until the period from circa 6000 to 3150 BCE. These early settlements introduced new technologies such as irrigation in the form of canals and basins. This allowed Egyptians to regulate the flood to maximize food production. The Egyptian agricultural system allowed the region to support between 2 to 12 million people. Even as late as the Roman era, Egypt was still considered the granary of the ancient world. The population boom brought about by agriculture caused villages to coalesce into small kingdoms along the Nile. These kingdoms invaded and annexed each other until only two kingdoms remained, those of Upper and Lower Egypt in the south and north, respectively. The terminology derives from the flow of the Nile River from the highlands of eastern Africa to south of the Nile in the south to the Nile Delta in the north. The king of Upper Egypt wore a tall white crown called a hedjet, while the king of Lower Egypt wore a red crown called a deshet. Around 3100 BCE, a king named Narmer, also identified as Menes, unified the two kingdoms. A siltstone tablet called the Palette of Narmer depicts the king wearing the crown of Upper Egypt on one side and the crown of Lower Egypt on the other. Later, a pharaoh named Tjet would be depicted wearing both crowns together at once, the double crown known as Peshet, which symbolized the unity of Egypt. That is a mouthful. Start gathering food immediately. The few clubmen can start wandering around. Fun fact about this mission: one of the objectives used to be to build 4 farms in the original game. Perhaps we will see this later, but unless you know how to use a scroll wheel or how to scroll through menus, you would not know that. Because it is the first objective that is blocked and requires that knowledge, which may make this mission difficult for you if you have no idea how scrolling text worked back in the day. Just a funny little anecdote. I wouldn't know anyone who would ever be so foolish as to not know how a scroll wheel works. Meanwhile, let's go over combat a little more. Here we have the basic barracks unit Clubman, which upgrades into those battle axemen we saw earlier. The attack stat is symbolized by this sword, attack of 3, meaning that it does 3 damage against an unarmored opponent. Its armor is down here and is divided into 2 pieces. Physical and projectile. Usually there will be a line dividing it, I believe. Range attackers use the projectile defense to calculate its damage output, whereas melee use the standard physical armor to calculate. First things first, let's build a stock pit right against the wood line. Let's do it right over there. As we slowly explore more. Put you on food. Yes, you can melee attack a boat. Don't question it. It's a game from the 90s. For security's sake, we shall upgrade our axemen. Let's build a dock as well. Is there any fish nearby? I don't... Oh, there is fish, so... It's not a total waste, methinks. Let's get out the water a bit more. Seems the main way of accessing us is down here in the south. Leave you to guard. Nope, there is a second crossing right over here. Forget everything I have just said. sources of food. There's an army of clubmen. Let us build more. Fend them off. That might send an army down to meet us. Not ideal. Oh. Even if need be, we'll send villagers to fight for us. As you can see, the earlier clubman had 3 attack, whereas this axeman has 5. There must be more sources of food which we can gather. Should be beyond these cliffs that we didn't explore fully. It's solely the river. Nope. No food to speak of. Oh. He has warships. This has gone horribly. I think our opponents do not care that much. This is just another access to their base, isn't it? Or not. No, it's a third access to their base. Even more dangers. I just realized I'm a fool. I should be building. One, I should be upgrading these. Increase armor? Let's wait. Build a market. What? So this is the other use of the storage pit. It is your unit upgrade facility. If I did not say this before. You'll gain armor and thus die less quickly. If we go out into the desert, if we're lucky we'll find no one. If we're unlucky, you'll find everyone. As you can see, there now has a +2, symbolizing we've gained 2 armor to these units. There we go. between the ruins. Let's see, AI is programmed to like start yelling at us. You know what? I'm gonna risk gathering from that. It's far better option. Going to research domestication, even though we haven't built any farms yet. Because now we can build farms, because we need the market. And delete that for now, and then gather wood. No enemies have decided to try and retake these ruins. It's good for us. Let's build a farm right here because we can. Because it's the definitive edition. Otherwise we would need space to our room. Also, as we increase woodworking, the attack of our range units increase as opposed to toolworking, which would increase our melee attack. You can start farming immediately. And turn on auto reseeding farm, because that is an option we have in this day and age. And look, we have built 4 farms. Now we gain victory. No. If only it was that easy. Back in my day. And whatnot. Yeah, you can start farming from that larger one. Okay. Now we wait for the food to gather. Because we need 800 food. I like how I randomly click on that and select everyone. Not my intent. Aid in the farming. And you two can go back to food or wood gathering. Loads of farms, because we can walk over them in this game now. At 500 now. 600. No Lower Egypt attacks. Haven't even tried. Pathetic, really. Need to check something. Nope, that pops up. Okay. Hang on a moment. That doesn't change anything. Ah, well, there we go.
The gods have blessed our great pharaoh Narmer and united our people. Egypt is destined to become the greatest civilization ever seen. The pharaoh has promised you a spot on the carved stone tablet commissioned to honor his victory. For obvious reasons, your image will not be as big as his.
Sure.
The future of Egypt is about... The reputation of a united Egypt is spreading to all corners of the world, and trade has vastly increased your people's wealth. With this prosperity, the pharaoh Djoser has decided that a mere mastaba, a simple mud tomb, will not be enough to serve him in the afterlife. Instead, he has ordered the architect Imhotep to design a stepped pyramid that will be visible from miles away. Such a large project will require great resources. You have been ordered to go to the north and set up a trade post to collect the gold for the pyramid. At the same time, you must venture into the desert and find a quarry to supply stone for the construction. Your trading partners, the Minoans, Canaanites, and Libyans, could become jealous of Egypt's success and might even cease trade and attack your people. In case our diplomats fail to keep the peace, you must defend your trade ships. The pharaoh is entrusting you with the success of this project.
Right. History. In prehistory, people bartered with other groups for food and useful necessities. This is arguably not true, but we'll ignore that. Later, when small farming communities appeared in Egypt, trade increased in importance and people traveled far to acquire rare goods or tools that they could not find in their hometowns. Evidence of trade between Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even the Indus Valley of India have been dated as early as 3000 BCE. During Pharaoh Namir's reign, pottery with Namir's inscription was produced in Cana, in the modern day Levant, for shipment to Egypt, showing that Egyptian rulers looked overseas for rare luxury items. Despite these early contracts, trade did not become a major source of wealth for Egyptians until the late Old Kingdom. Trade provided Egypt with cedar wood from Lebanon, ebony and ivory from Africa, incense, myrrh and oils from Arabia, gems from Afghanistan, and gold from Nubia. In return for these goods, Egypt exported grain, flax, papyrus, linen, gold vessels, and fish. The Nile River was as instrumental to Egyptian trade as it was to the country's agriculture. Egyptians constructed rafts and boats from papyrus reeds, while the wood was rare in Egypt. The wooden boats that were produced were long and were lashed together with ropes. The seams between planks were packed with bundles of reeds to keep the water out as they lacked internal framing that later boats had. Egyptians used the boats to transport goods along the Nile and Mediterranean coasts. Trade and farming generated wealth for the pharaoh, around whom a cult was established, linking him to the god Horus. Massive tombs were built to prepare and house the pharaoh for the afterlife. These tombs were filled with gifts, animals, ships, and even servants. Early tombs were called mastabas, rectangular mud tombs. Between 2667 to 2648 BCE, Pharaoh Djori built the first pyramid, consisting of 6 mastabas on top of each other. Each successful mastaba was smaller than the one below it, giving the appearance of a step structure. An architect named Imhotep is traditionally credited with the design. The biggest pyramids ever built were those at Giza. Largest that was that of Khufu, also known as Cheops, as dated from between 2560 to 2540 BC. During the Middle Kingdom, fewer pyramids were built as there was a smaller care. They were of a smaller scale. By the New Kingdom, the traditional pyramid building had largely ended, although the Nubians of modern-day Sudan continued to build pyramids for centuries. That's a mouthful. You ever regret decisions? Go west to the desert. We should eventually find stone, as the mission description told us. Who are you playing with? Noans, Canaans, and Phoenicians, and all those. Diplomacy, allied to the Minoans, and neutral to everyone else. We found food. Alright. That is fun. Build a trade boat. Get more food. Start selling gold to them. Or food to them to gain gold. There is the stone of which they speak. I do not see it. trade wood or food for gold once we find dock for which to trade with. Were you most allied to? Red. The Noans. Huh. That's quite interesting. Libyans. More Libyans. Huh. I must admit, don't know where the resources are in this mission. Very simple mission has become quite complex by a lack of information. Minoans would surely be in the south, right? Because they'd be out to sea, as it were. Huh. It's a interesting situation we have found ourselves in. Crow flies. There we go. Carried 20 units. 13 to 20 gold. Okay, we have food. Is there stone up on this hill? There it is. We found our route of expansion. Build a storage pit once we have enough wood. You know what? Why let good food go to waste while we wait? trade and gain gold. Diplomacy look. Why not? Tower. Just in case. Have a barracks built? I just realized we don't. Could pose to be a problem. We shall see, though. Start building a navy if need be. Food. Build a market. One. 13 gold a trip. Most ideal. But it is something. Build a ship first. Just as defensive precaution. Spend a bit of armor just in same case. It's advantage of multiple storage pits. You can split up your research. If I ever do Age of Empires 2, won't have that luxury because I won't bother having that luxury. Marketplace. Ballax just to be on the safe side. So you can mine stone. Gold about? There might be gold about. I could be a fool in this. Oh, there's just gold here. Come on, huge pile of gold just sitting out in the open.
Alamas.
No gold.
Alamas.
Huh. That's
Alamas.
unfortunate.
Alamas. Bombas. Thomas. Alamas. Alamas. Ibertani.
See if there's no one over this way. Burden that. He has stone. Oh, like a gold mine right there or something silly like that. That's 11, but do something silly and trade stone. We're starting to run out of food. Trade stone. Trade stone. So we don't have as much as steady supply anymore. Out in the open. Why not? No gold whatsoever. I almost find that hard to believe. It's gonna be like gold right here, isn't there? None at all. Really. No gold. None at all. Well, we slowly traded our way to victory. It's probably gold down on this southern island or something silly. Well, next trade ship that comes in is Victory. Any minute now.
With the supplies you gathered, the first pyramid of Egypt is built in honor of Pharaoh Djoser. People from far and wide are in awe of this achievement, and Egypt's fame grows. Djoser's successor already has plans to build an even larger pyramid. In time, these structures will dot the land of Egypt and last in eternity, guiding the pharaohs into the next life.
Alright.
Egyptian culture is flourishing and the population is growing. In order to provide for the administration of the kingdom and serve the gods, new professions have been established. Scribes and priests help the pharaoh in his dealings with the military, the people, and the gods. These new specialists have quickly gained prominence and become vital to Egyptian civilization. In the north, west of the Nile Delta, scouts report Libyan raiding parties are approaching one of Egypt's most sacred cities, Heliopolis, built to honor the sun god Ra. As the lector priest of the city's main temple and army scribe of the pharaoh, you are commanded to stop these raiders at all costs. The priests in the city have offered their services to support the army. However, you must be wary of the Libyans who bring a siege engine with them to demolish the city's walls. This machine could be useful for our own armies, so instead of destroying it, the pharaoh has ordered you to capture this stone thrower and bring it to the town center at Heliopolis.
Good old Wooloo time. Finally. The Egyptians developed a rich and varied religion based on the worship of around 2,000 gods and goddesses. Some of these deities were worshipped throughout the country, some are by a specific town, and others within the home. Many of these religious beliefs were linked to the sun and the Nile, two entities most responsible for the agricultural bounty that was the basis for Egypt's relative affluence. The pharaoh, with the head priest, conducted rites throughout the year to ensure the regular flow of the Nile and movement of the sun. For major deities, great temples were built. The temple was not a place of worship, rather it was considered a home on earth for the god or goddess to which it was associated. The cult statue representing the deity might only be shown a few times each year at special festivals. Offerings brought to the temple were collected by priests and priestesses. These people would pray to the statue of the pharaoh because it was believed to possess divine powers and might intercede on behalf of the petitioner. Questions for the god or goddesses were passed to priests or priestesses for reply. One of the most unique religious events in Egyptian history happened during the New Kingdom. Amenhotep IV, presumably the father of famous Tutankhamun, created a cult around Aten, the sun god. Amenhotep IV renamed himself Akhenaten in honor of the god, and while still acknowledged the existence of other gods, he only worshipped Aten. This created a quasi-monotheistic religion. The impact of this new cult was very limited, and after his death it disappeared quickly as it has appeared. The decline of the Old Kingdom happened during the 6th Dynasty, 2345 to 2181 BCE, where the power of the pharaoh gradually weakened in favor of regional governors. Internal disorder and serious drought combined with unusually low Nile floods were the final blow to a decaying kingdom. The Old Kingdom period was followed by the first intermediary period during which Egypt was divided for over a century. So, temple will build shortly. First, economy. We have temple. Double precinct points and 40% faster. 40% faster if I can speak. That would be helpful. Explore with our very slow moving priest. Thankfully, the priest has extremely good eyesight. Very odd of an old man to have that, but, well, this game it does. We're already up to the Bronze Age, and we didn't even ever advance to it. We need a military of some sort. An X-Men for now will do. Oh, there he is. Stone thrower. Bowman. We have no gold to speak of. No gold. Let's build ourselves a dock and scoop up. It's gonna sound weird, but we're just gonna save the game right here. I'm gonna test something. And we're just gonna right click here. And it's gonna fail. Yep. Yeah, love that. I'm not gonna be tempted to do something stupid. No goal to speak. Okay, we should have. Tower, watchtower, not enough stone. I'm gonna build a scout ship, then the fishing boat. Build up more wood. Food. Just in case we need farms. No, it's all shells. Something. you do no attack in case some villager walks by and he's like, oh, villager. You're gonna... You can't farm. You're gonna chop down that tree. Because... Go with short swordsman. Wait for... faster movement speed, or... Yeah, faster movement speed. You can... That down. You build a farm. You build a farm. You also build a farm, if you can. But you can't. Some slow trickle of food. The watchtower. Actually, let's make it a sentry. We can't make it a sentry tower. And do that. As close as you can. Wait a moment. There we go. Not taking any chances. Welcome to Turtle, the gameplay. That's something that happened. We can build more. Just a simple archer. Nothing to worry about. It's not the stone thrower that we need. Just have to build a bit faster, but oh well.
Some erectus, 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 erect, one, erectus, erectus, evil target.
Play Dodger. Now we're playing the AI's game. You flee. Well, we made it. You know, I thought I was gonna
You have saved Heliopolis from the
do
Libyan
all the
marauders and
tutorial
Bardock
missions
Legion.
today.
The Pharaoh is grateful and has promised to fund the creation of a statue resembling your visage. It is an honor not usually bestowed upon someone other than the Pharaoh himself.
But, unfortunately, we have to end the stream shortly. As such, one moment. There we go. So, Age of Empires. Classic. Slowly turn down the music. So, I've been your history VTuber, going through an insane amount of words, just miles of text, and through most of that tutorial. Hopefully I will see you next Tuesday for the rest of the tutorial and hopefully the Greek campaign. Until then, I shall see you all, whether it be morning, noon, night, wherever it is you stream, view even.